Okay, let's talk about something that's probably on a lot of people's minds. What if this entire AI-driven stock market boom, this thing that feels unstoppable, could be brought to its knees by a single event happening thousands of miles away? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tearing apart a fascinating and honestly pretty chilling analysis that lays out a step-by-step scenario for how a single stock crash in Tokyo could set off a Black Monday right on Wall Street. And believe me, this isn't just about stock tickers. It's about the very ground we're all standing on in this market.
So where does it all begin? What's the spark? It all starts with this one number you see on the screen, -9%. According to the source material we're digging into, this isn't just a bad day for one company. This single-day drop is the first domino pushed in a chain reaction that could potentially rattle the entire global financial system. Now, I have to be super clear about this. This is not some prediction we're making. The source we're examining is framing this as a hypothetical scenario. It's a what-if exercise. It looks back from a fictional future date, Friday, February 13th, 2026, to dissect how one specific event could be the ultimate warning sign. You know, the classic canary in the coal mine for the whole market.
And that hypothetical situation immediately brings up two massive questions, right? First, how on earth does a company that's apparently making money just crash like that? And maybe more importantly, why should you, sitting here right now, care about a company in Tokyo? Well, we're going to trace the ripple effect that, according to this analysis, could connect this one single event directly to the big tech stocks and ETFs sitting in your retirement account.
So here's our roadmap for breaking down this potential crisis. First, we're going to look at that initial spark in Tokyo. Then, we'll follow the path of the contagion as it spreads across the globe. After that, we'll uncover the hidden risks this whole thing exposes, and finally, we'll get into a defensive playbook proposed by the source for how you might protect yourself. Okay, so let's start right at ground zero, the catalyst. What was the trigger? Why would a company like SoftBank, which seemed to be riding the AI wave perfectly, suddenly take such a nosedive? Turns out, the answer is all about what the big money investors suddenly saw hiding just beneath the surface. To really get what happens next, you have to understand that SoftBank isn't just any company. The source material calls it a leverage proxy for the entire AI sector. Now, what does that mean in plain English? It means SoftBank took on a ton of debt to make huge, concentrated bets on the biggest names in AI. So its stock price wasn't just about SoftBank's own performance anymore, it became a barometer for the entire AI hype cycle. A bet on SoftBank was basically like a supercharged bet on AI itself. And this is where the panic supposedly set in. The analysis points to this sudden, dawning horror among institutional investors. They looked into the hood and realized that SoftBank's value was incredibly, dangerously concentrated. A whopping 65% of its entire net asset value was tied up in just two AI bets, the chip designer ARM and the AI powerhouse OpenAI. This was not a diversified, safe portfolio. It was a massive, all-or-nothing gamble on two names.
And here is the absolute crux of the issue. The market looked at SoftBank's big, impressive profits and had a realization. These were mostly paper gains. The profits weren't coming from actual cash hitting the bank account. They were coming from the company just marking up the value of its investments on paper. It's kind of like saying your house is now worth $1 million more, so you're a millionaire, but you haven't sold the house. There's no cash. The market suddenly decided those weren't real profits, and that collective loss of faith in the AI story triggered a frantic rush for the exits.
Okay, so a single stock has a meltdown in Tokyo. How in the world does that become a problem that could actually impact your retirement savings? Let's follow the trail of this financial contagion step by step, from Japan all the way to the US markets.
The contagion spreads using a tool that's both powerful and incredibly dangerous, the margin call. So just imagine you've borrowed a bunch of money from a bank to invest. If the value of your investments, the stuff you bought with their money, suddenly drops, your lender gets really, really nervous. A margin call is basically the bank phoning you up and saying, hey, your stuff is worth less now. You need to wire us more cash immediately, or we are going to start selling your assets for you to pay back our loan. It's a terrible phone call to get.
And this chart just lays out the dominoes perfectly. It all starts with hedge funds that use their valuable SoftBank stock as collateral to get those loans. Well, when SoftBank crashes 9%, that collateral is suddenly worth a lot less. So what happens? The banks make those margin calls. The hedge funds are now scrambling for cash, and what's the quickest, easiest way to get cash? You sell your most popular, easy-to-sell assets, your biggest winners. And at the time, what were those? You guessed it, beloved US tech stocks like NVIDIA. A problem in Tokyo just forced a fire sale of stocks in America.
And here's the thing, it's not just humans panicking anymore.
Our modern markets are run by high-speed trading algorithms, and these computer programs are designed to do one thing: detect risk and sell automatically the second things get volatile. So as that first wave of selling from the hedge funds hits, the machines see it and they kick in, selling even more and even faster. This creates this terrifying feedback loop where selling just creates more selling, all happening in the blink of an eye.
Now, this problem doesn't just stop with a few tech stocks getting hit. This analysis argues that the tech sell-off is just where the trouble starts. It's like pulling on a single loose thread that begins to unravel this whole complex web of risks woven throughout the entire financial system.
So the analysis points to two key warning sirens that start blaring. First, you get a 20% spike in the VIX. That's Wall Street's fear gauge. A jump like that means raw panic is spreading fast. At the same time, Bitcoin, which is a really good indicator of how much risk investors are willing to take, crashes below a huge psychological support level of $55,000. When an asset like Bitcoin gets dumped that hard, it's a clear signal that investors are sprinting away from risky assets and looking for anywhere safe to hide.
Now here's where the analysis makes a really specific and, frankly, fascinating claim. It argues the money pouring out of Bitcoin isn't just sitting on the sidelines in cash. It's flowing into a new kind of asset, a gold-backed digital currency that the source calls unit gold, linking it to the BRICS nations. The theory here is that this new tangible asset is literally sucking money out of both the crypto world and speculative tech stocks, draining the pool of capital that was holding those markets up. And if all that wasn't bad enough, the one institution that's supposed to save the day, the US Federal Reserve, is completely stuck. For years, investors have counted on something called the Fed put. It's this belief that if the market ever really crashed, the Fed would swoop in, cut interest rates, and make everything okay again. But according to this analysis, the Fed is trapped. With inflation still stubbornly high, they can't cut rates to save the stock market without risking another huge spike in prices for everyone. So for the first time in a very long time, the safety net is gone. The market is completely on its own.
So, if this absolute nightmare scenario were to actually play out, what is an ordinary investor supposed to do about it? Well, the analysis doesn't just paint a picture of doom and gloom. It actually offers a specific defensive playbook, a survival guide for the storm. The playbook really boils down to three main moves. First, hedge your bets. That means using special investments like inverse ETFs that are designed to go up in value when the overall market goes down. Second, rotate your portfolio. Get out of those high-flying speculative stocks and move your money into safer, more boring sectors like utilities and consumer staples. You know, the companies that sell things people need no matter what the economy's doing. And third, raise cash. Get some of your money out of the market entirely.
And that last point about holding cash is so critical. In a crashing market, cash isn't just about safety. It becomes a weapon. Having that dry powder, as they call it, gives you the incredible opportunity to buy fantastic companies at massive discounts when everyone else is in a panic and being forced to sell.
The analysis also throws in a really practical, tactical tip about taxes. If you decide to sell some of your losing investments to get a tax break, which is a common strategy, you have to be aware of the IRS's wash sale rule. Basically, the rule says you can't claim that tax loss if you turn around and buy back the same or a very similar investment within 30 days. It's a classic mistake people make in a panic, and it can be a really costly one.
So after all of that, we're left with one really powerful question. It's a question for all of us to ask ourselves. Is your portfolio built for a never-ending bull market, for sunny skies only, or is it ready for a storm? This analysis, whether you buy into it completely or not, is a heck of a reminder to take a hard look at your own investments and ask if they're actually prepared for a real crisis. And that's a question that's probably worth thinking about before the next market open.